Yeah. Let me see. Are there chat conversations or no? I don't. Welcome to the live chat. Okay. Well, why? Okay. Just tell them we'll take their X's and Omar overtime questions. If they want to put them in the chat, we can check them out there. Once, yeah. Well, how does this work here? I'm trying to see if I can see it live. Yeah. Okay, I can hear me live. Are there chat? Yeah. So if you guys, welcome. If you guys have X's and Omar questions, this is to the people who are watching it live. Put it down at the bottom of the Sun Sentinel chat, and we will take them in X and Omar overtime questions. Looking forward to doing the show. Happy bye week. You get to watch NFL games where you don't have to care about who wins and who loses, and the Dolphins aren't traumatizing you or making you elated. Curious what the reaction has been for most Dolphin fans to this 5-game winning streak. Dang, taking X's and Omar. All right. I'm ready when you are, Hyde. Just need a big gulp.
Whenever you want.
Hold on 1 second. I need to hydrate myself.
Yeah, I'm ready. Whenever you want to go. I'm furiously doing research.
Furiously. You gonna knock me over with some research here, Dave?
Little overtime research, Omar.
You want to address Mario?
Yeah, we can. I think there's a couple issues to address from there. One is the money in college football.
Hey, save it for segment 3, Dave.
Yeah. Okay. I was gonna say we got issues to address in there though, but yeah.
Save it for segment 3. We'll cut it out and put it on the UM page. All right. Okay. Only 8 teams, 1/4 of the NFL, have won at least 5 consecutive games this season. The Arizona Cardinals and Green Bay Packers, they put together a 7-game winning streak this year and sit at the top of their standings. The Baltimore Ravens won 5 in a row in September and October. The Tennessee Titans, back when they had a running game, and the Dallas Cowboys have won 6 straight games this season. The New England Patriots, they're riding a 7-game winning streak, and unfortunately to my colleagues' delight, they're back at the top of the AFC.
Not delight. Delight is not the right word. Admiration is the right word. Okay. Oh, okay. Admiration. Admiration. You can't help but admire them.
Yes. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, they won 5 straight games, pulling out that Sunday night win. But you know who else won 5 straight games, Dave? Who else is one of the hottest teams in the NFL right now? The Miami Dolphins, Dave.
Yeah, baby.
And if you're looking at this group of teams that have managed to win at least 5 straight games, not 6, not 7, because the 6 and the 7, they're kind of the NFL elites. They're the Super Bowl contenders. But the people who have won at least 5 straight games, if you look deeply enough, Dave, all of them are playoff, if not title contenders, except for our Dolphins, which beat the New York Giants 20-9. This leads me to the important question, Dave. How serious should we take this Dolphins 5-game winning streak, and where will it lead us?
Yeah, you take it seriously. You win 5 games. I forget who they're playing for a second. The first point to make, you win 5 games. That doesn't come easily in the NFL, okay? And so absolutely it's an achievement, especially when you consider going into that, it isn't like they were up and down. They were 1-7, okay? So the 5-game winning streak is an achievement, and it tells you they are trending in the direction they want when they, the defense clearly is, it's back to where it was last year, fueling this. And when 2 is on the field, even with lesser parts around them, the offense is better.
Yeah. I mean, probably when they started the losing streak, I think maybe they were 1-4. I'm actually looking at the column, 1-4. I wrote a column like, hey, here's 10 issues that you need to fix if you want to get this thing righted. I revisited that column a month later when they were still 1-7. And I pointed out that a lot of the things that they needed to fix, the injury to Tua, offensive line, struggles, the scoring struggles, the third down defensive struggles, the, defense improving against the run. I pointed out that a lot of those issues, creating turnovers, they were headed in the right direction, except for the offensive line. That was still kind of trash. And the run game. Those are still struggle. They're still on the struggle bus. But when you looked at how they were playing, despite the 1-7 start, I believe they might have just beaten Houston when I revisited. So they were like 2-7. They were headed in the right direction. They were solving a lot of their problems. And, to my surprise, and I just wrote a column in the Sentinel, defensively, they have addressed a lot of the issues. They're better now in the red zone than they were last year when they were the number one defense in the league. Last year, back in 2020, I believe they were allowing opponents to convert 57% in the red zone. Now they're at 50%. And really, that's where they're starting to excel. When you can put an offense that can actually score points or give you the lead and allow you to play that aggressive amoeba style where you're attacking the quarterback, you're hunting, as opposed to being on, the defensive, defending the run and the pass, it will allow you to sort of showcase who you are as a team and play a little bit better. And, even the run game, even with Raekwon McMillan back, they're fourth in the league right now defending the run. And 109 yards per 100, I believe it's 104 or 109, I can't remember. I'll look it up. I wrote it in my column. Defending the run, and that's a drastic improvement even from last year. So I think they're definitely heading in the right direction. The 103.8 yards per carry. I'm sorry for giving you an inaccurate yards per carry. Yards per game average, but they're headed in the right direction.
All right, let's put some perspective on it, though. Okay. All right. So it's an achievement. They've won 5 straight. Okay, but it's a little exaggerated too. The euphoria. Let's look at the last 3 quarterbacks they played. All backups. All backup quarterbacks on losing 500 or below teams. Okay, Mike Glennon, Cam Newton, and Joe Flacco.
Tyrod Taylor's in there.
Huh?
Tyrod Taylor's in there. Lamar Jackson's in there.
That's going back. Okay, that's the 5th, 5 games ago. I said the last 3, but you can throw Tyrod Taylor first game back from injury.
And to Joe Flacco's defense, he's achieved more in the NFL than Mike White or their first round pick.
Yeah, and has he achieved that in the last 3 years?
No.
Look, you have to be. It's not. Oh, it's great they won 5 and they're back in the contention for everything. And it's not. Oh, winning 5 isn't a nice achievement. You have to have a little context here. Okay, it's not like they're beating 3 contenders of great quarterbacks. So,
only one. Only one.
So all I'm saying is, if they go up against, they don't play a great quarterback coming out for a few games.
Oh, they play Ryan Tannehill.
I don't even know if they play a great quarterback the rest of the way. Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones. They're going to play the Saints, Taysom Hill. They play the Jets. So what all those stats, I guess, is what I'm saying, are skewed a little to the upside. Not awfully. Yeah, I mean, look, you hold the defense. What you look at the point total of the last 5 games.
11 points a game.
So the Jets had the most at 17. Okay, at 17, that is 5 games of that defense, very good. But Tom Brady wasn't thrown at him in these games either. So okay,
that is fair. However, I hate when people say, "Oh, it's the strength of schedule. Look at the caliber of opponents. Oh, they're playing the backup quarterback." Well, last I checked, when they were losing one of 7 games, when they were losing 7 straight games, the guy who was starting the bulk of those games were Jacoby Brissett, or playing in the bulk of those games were Jacoby Brissett. And so he happens to be a backup too. So, it's and as I say every week, the line between winning and losing in the NFL is a very small line. You dance, you gotta do a high wire act on it, and it can go either way. You get that call against the Raiders of pass interference. Will Fuller, one of the 1.5 games that he's played this year, pass interference in overtime in the end zone. They put you at the 1, you score a touchdown, game over, you win. Xavier Howard deflects or intercepts that pass to Kyle Pitts against Atlanta, you potentially win. So you got to take care of business. And the last I checked, the Dolphins are taking care of business offensively and defensively in the last 5 games, no matter who the opponent is, no matter who the quarterback is. And you got to give them some credit for that.
I think at the start of this, I said, yes, 5 games in a row is an achievement. Okay, it's not binary. They're great or they're awful. Okay, it's very nice, but let's not get carried away that they have a great offense right now, or that their defense is going up against contending quarterbacks. That's all I'm saying. Okay, our first question comes from JR. What does Miami need to do to prove this season wasn't a waste, and how do they set themselves up to contend for a deep playoff run next year?
Well, to me, the beginning and end of all the problems, where it starts for me, Dave, with the offensive line. There has been steady progression and improvements that we've seen from them, particularly Liam Eichenberg. He's had 2 straight games where he has not been a turnstile. That's a step in the right direction. Jesse Davis still has his issues. Robert Hunt's playing with a back injury, but he still looks like he's the best offensive lineman. Michael Dieter comes back. That offensive line has got to get to the point of respectable. And then to me, you always say it, that this is about the quarterback. And you're right. You're right in some regard, because no matter how good this defense is, if Tua doesn't score points, they're not going to be very good, because it's such a struggle for a defense to actually win games when your offense can only give you 17 points. Now, they're managing to do it, but wouldn't it be nice if they could get to the NFL average of 24 points a game, and sort of give this team a lead? And Tua, to me, is the ultimate equalizer. The offense has been respectable when he's in there. The sacks have been cut down when he's in there. There's been a commitment to the run game when he's in there. And to me, that's the starting point. Tua has to continue to play sharp. He has to continue to play efficient football. He has to continue to protect the football. He has to continue to score in the red zone. And if he can do that in the final stretch of the games, final 4 games, I think they've got a chance to produce a winning record. And to me, that's really what the bar was at the beginning of the season and continues to be.
Yeah, to me, the bar, the young guys progressing, okay, starting with the quarterback, because this whole, I don't want to say ridiculous, this whole 3-year plan was about the quarterback, okay?
You can say ridiculous, Dave.
The Patriots showed you can do it in a year if you're smart, okay? They did. You don't want to hear that, but it's true. It's true. Okay, so here's the point. Tua has
It's not about being smart with the Patriots. Let's discuss this. It's not about being smart with the Patriots. It's about having an offensive coordinator who's turned down 5 head coaching jobs and has been running the same offense for 11 years. And yes, they have new pieces there. But they spent a ridiculous amount of money, which the Dolphins have done all the time. Yeah, the Patriots set a new record for amount of money you've spent in free agency. Well,
breaking the Dolphins record of the year before.
They're breaking the Dolphins record the year before, and that got the Dolphins to 10 wins. So, yes, Mac Jones is efficient, but he's doing the exact same thing that Tua Tagovailoa is doing on a weekly basis.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but why did you boil this down to All I'm saying is the Patriots did it in a year. They're smarter. They're smarter. You can take that however you want, that they have the long-term offensive coordinator in place. However you want to take it, they're a smarter organization. I mean, that's what it comes down to, starting with the plan of we're not going to throw seasons overboard. And it's like Dolphins fans are conditioned, oh, next year, the year after, it's going to be great, because that's the Patriots, like the Heat, which is why I love the Miami Heat. They say we're going to do our best to win this year. Okay. As far as to prove this year wasn't a waste, I mean, Tua needs to keep playing the way he is right now. I mean, he's obviously helps the offense do as much as it can given the parts. Okay. And he has to stay healthy. I mean, we don't need to revisit that. And you're seeing progress of the young pieces that you didn't see when they were 1-7. So I don't know if the bar is the playoffs, because you have to win out. You'd have to win 9 straight games, and that would be an achievement. But you just need to see the way they're playing on this winning streak, whether they win or lose, but to maintain that level of play.
Absolutely. Sean wants to know, Dave, what one change personnel or scheme-wise would you make during the bye week to improve O-line play?
Yeah, I wish I could say like the Monday night game where the Patriots ran the ball. It's like Mac Jones went rogue and he threw one pass in the first quarter until the final minutes when he threw 2. I wish you could just say, we're going to pound it right down the throat if that's what we have to do. But, you know, as far as philosophically with the offense, I don't think there's anything. It's not the X's and O's right now. Okay, it's the players.
It's the X's and O's?
It's the people. You win with people. And they need, you saw when Devontae Parker came back, he's great at jump balls. He made a great third down jump ball catch to effectively seal the win. And Gesicki made another one a little bit later. Tua put him right where his big receivers can get him. But that's an element that Devontae Parker can provide, okay? And so you need better play.
I think offensive line wise, I think there could be some room for a 6 offensive linemen. And just hear me out here, Dave. Just hear the reasoning out here. If you look at how they play a lot of 2 tight end, if not 3 tight end sets. One of those tight ends is usually blocking because he needs the help. Now, why would you not have a legitimate offensive lineman in there as opposed to Durham Smythe? I can say right now, you can put Solomon Kinley in there at right guard, slide Jesse Davis over to the spot next to him, and then put our athletic guy, Robert Hunt, out there at the end. You can teach Robert Hunt 2-3 route combinations. He's showing you he can catch. He's showing you he's got the hands, especially your goal line plays. Why would you not have that big teddy bear of a human out there serving as your 6 offensive lineman? If you watch the Patriots, they use 6 offensive linemen. So
yeah, I think we left Omar. Let me counter what he said, okay? And I get the Patriots on Monday night, they did use 6 offensive linemen. But Durham Smythe has shown he's turned into a decent, not great, but respectable pass catcher as a tight end this year. You've seen him be able to run routes. And look, you know what's going to happen if they put 6 offensive linemen out there. Defenses are going to adjust to that too. Okay. All right. All of a sudden, you're sitting here complaining they don't have 2 good offensive linemen, and you want to play 6. Okay. So
I want to do what it takes to get the run game going. And
that's not the way. That's not the way.
No, that's not the way. Like we haven't even tried it.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, now if you say we want to do that, to put 8 men in the box and put 1-on-1 against receivers, that's different.
I'm not bothered by 8 men in the box. Tua has shown you that he can beat 8 men in the box. David Hale wonders, Dave. The Dolphins are not Super Bowl contenders, but where does this team go from here to become one? Easy answer is the O-line. But what truly will make the offense take that next step?
You know, for all the talk about the offensive line, and rightfully so, great offenses have playmakers that can get the ball in who's going to get the ball in the end zone for this offense? Jalen Waddle moving forward. Anybody else? Anybody? I mean, Tua has shown he can find the right
Mac
guy.
Hollins, baby.
Who?
Mac Hollins, 4 touchdowns this season.
Yeah, look, everybody loves Mac Hollins, but
yes.
On a contending team, he's not a starting wide receiver. He's a contributor. He's a great special teams player, great energy guy. Come in, he can run plays, but he's not your starting wide receiver on a contending team. So, how many wide receivers do you need? I don't know, 1, 2. I mean, you need a running back. You need a dynamic running back. I like Myles Gaskin, but as I've said, he has a role, and you need a first 1.5 down running back to help that running game when it materializes. So, bottom line, we're saying here's points. They're scoring 19.5 points a game. That's about 5 points less than last year, more than 5 points. Okay. I mean, that is, for all the grief that rained down on the offense last year, to be scoring 5 points less a game. And it's continued really in this win streak. They had 33 against Carolina, a good defense. But other than that, the point total's pedestrian.
Yeah. And to me, it's about juicing up the RPO offense, finding a way to make it be more efficient. And to me, the number one answer is to beef up the run game. 3.3 yards per carry. And I know they're staying committed to the run, and I give them props and praise for that because it's about balance. And despite what the outcome is, balance is important to make this offense work. But it would be nice if they average more than 3.3 yards per carry. Myles Gaskin, 3.4 yards per attempt. Salvon Ahmed, 2.8 yards per attempt. Malcolm Brown, if and when he comes back, 3.8 yards per attempt. To me, the answer is you got to get Philip Lindsay going. I'm even open to Duke Johnson. You got to get him going. I think we've seen enough of these backs. And
yeah, I agree. I agree with you on Philip Lindsay. He showed in his cameo so far that okay, there's an element to his game that you just saw things that okay, maybe he gets back to the running back he was in Denver, and he talked about it after the game that you saw a guy who basically saw his career flash before his eyes in Houston, and that's the kind of guy with talent, as he's shown, that maybe you got something. So I'd be curious to see how he develops the rest of the year when he's back.
Outside stretch runs, outside zone, inside zone, and this isn't anything about disrespecting what Ahmed and Gaskin have done. It's just not working this year. It's not, and at a certain point, you can't blame it all on the offensive line, especially when you've not tried anything different. And we've seen games. Duke Johnson has averaged 4.5 yards per carry. Right now, it's not sexy, but it's much more efficient than I would love to see what these other backs can do in this offense, because right now what you're seeing is not cutting it.
Well, you've seen the last 2 years, their decisions on running backs haven't been good.
I'm trying not to say Najee Harris's name one show. Let's.
Okay, well, you want to trade Najee Harris for Jalen Phillips now?
Stop it! Don't do this to me. Yes, I still do it.
All right.
And I love Jalen Phillips, but Najee Harris is a complete back. He will not have the career that Jalen Phillips will, but he will make the job easier for Tua. And that's what it's all about. You're always talking about quarterback development. Well, that run game, that can help your quarterback develop.
Heading into this week's bye, Tua Tagovailoa is ranked the 15th best quarterback in the NFL because of his 96.1 passer rating. He's right under Carson Wentz, head of Teddy Bridgewater, and Patrick Mahomes. Oh.
Boy, that disappointment in your face, Dave.
Well, I don't, we can overstate stats. Okay. All right. He's completing 70.9% of his passes, which has him ranked under only Kyler Murray this season. He's averaging 7.1 yards per attempt, which has him ranked 21st in the NFL. He's middle of the pack in most statistical categories in his second season as an NFL starter. Should that be good enough for his critics? Let me answer that while you sigh and consider. Yes, it should be good enough for his critics. Okay, I mean, you look what he's put with an offensive line that we've talked about. The receiving core has lived down to all the fears of injury. He's had two, starting line receivers in Jalen Waddle and Gesicki. Okay, his running game is what it is. Now he's had a good defense that helps. I mean, there's great support, and it's put him in some great positions. But yeah, I think again, right now the question with Tua is durability. Okay, and when he gets the pieces, is he going to be able to use all of the field? Is he going to be able to throw all over the field? Okay, those are the questions. But you're seeing, again, as I said, he is like Chris Paul back there, a talented point guard, distributing the ball where it should in an accurate manner.
To me, I think his critics will be officially silenced when he's ranked not in the top 15, but in the top 10 of most statistical categories. If he finishes this season top 10 in completion percentage, and let's say I'll settle for top 15 in yards per attempt. If he has a good touchdown to interception ratio, that should be it. We're not going to throw for a ton of yards this season because of the offensive line and the injuries to wide receivers. We're not going to score a ton of points because this offense lacks balance and the offensive line. So to me, the most important metrics are the stats are right now the completion percentage. He's second in the league. Would love to see him continue to stay up there. I want to see third down conversions for this offense improve. It has improved with Tua at the helm. Want to see red zone execution improve. It has improved with Tua at the helm. And I want to see him throw for more yards per attempt. Right now, it's a dink and dunk offense. Now, will it be a dink and dunk offense with Tua at the helm for the next decade? Who knows? But it would be nice to see him be able to beat teams over the top when they have a defensive error like they had against the Jets game and they found Matt Collins, or when they forget about a streaking, jet sweep guy like, Albert Wilson wide open downfield. And he can read the field, which is something that some quarterbacks can't do. So he can find that open player, but I just need to see him continue to make steady strides and also stay healthy.
And let's remember, there's a couple things. One is I'm a little surprised. I get it because of the durability issues. He's not running at all. Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that was part of his game, even in college.
No, I know, but I thought, okay, there's going to be some mobility there. Okay. And you really haven't seen enough. You haven't seen any. And I get why. I mean, I'm not sure you want him to run at all. Because
you see 3 rushing touchdowns. That sounds pretty good to me. I don't want. How I feel about Tua. I don't want him running.
Yes, nobody wants a running quarterback, but if you like a quarterback like a Mahomes who can run, okay, who has
one first down a game, I'm happy.
Okay. Charles Cromer has the next question. Why has Mike Gesicki been on the sidelines more? Is it because they have a talented tight end room? Or are they seeing they have in Hunter Long what they have in him before they pay him money? Omar, take it away. I know this is like a T-ball for you. Go ahead.
Well, uh, Charles. This leads into what I've said about Mike Gesicki his whole career. He is more of a receiver, a slot receiver, a flex weapon than he is a tight end. And a lot of Miami's packages feature the 2 tight end package. And to play the tight end position, Charles, you have to be able to block. I think this coaching staff, along with the past coaching staff, they've gotten to the point where they realize Mike Gesicki can't block. And it's not he's not a good blocker. No, it's he can't block. So what do you do with him? You use him flexed out. You use him in motion. You use him as a slot receiver. You use him as a split end on the boundary. And he's a dangerous weapon. He's a mismatch, kind of. I really don't even think he's that much of a mismatch because at this point in his career, if I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm not defending him with a linebacker. What am I, stupid? He's on the field. You know they're going to throw. Why would you defend him with somebody that he can outrun? So it's kind of a very difficult situation. And I'm glad to see that they're playing Hunter Long a little bit more. He's working on the line. He's filling in Adam Shaheen role. And it makes sense because, hell, you spent a very high draft pick in you investing in Hunter Long. He's super intelligent. Hopefully he should be ready at this point, just like some of the other young rookies. Now, what to do about Mike Gesicki? As I've said, they're probably just going to franchise tag him to buy themselves some time. Because right now, the going price for tight ends is like $12 to $13 million a season. And I'm not sure you're paying that for Mike Gesicki when you can't really figure out a good way to use him.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is it's not that they're playing him less as the season's gone on. He started off playing less. I mean, in the New England game, he played 30% of the plays, I believe, in the 30 percentile. And so their offseason plan was, I think, just what you said, where they want to duel a guy who can catch, a guy who can block. Why else? You have a deep tight end room, and yet you take a tight end with the 3rd pick overall who is that type of tight end. At least coming out, and he scouted, he got hurt, and then he, for whatever reason, we're just starting to see him a little more. Rookie years are mysteries sometimes. So we'll see, can Hunter Long show something, over the next final month, really, of the season.
Yeah, I think the final month is really going to determine what they do with Mike Gesicki and Durham Smythe, who's also a free agent. Adam Shaheen's guaranteed money is up at the end of this year. I can honestly tell you, I have no idea what they're going to do with the tight end situation. No idea what they're going to do with the tight end room. It's kind of, and not to disrespect Mike Gesicki, because he's going to have a phenomenal year. 59 receptions right now, 642 yards, 2 touchdowns. But as I ask again, if you had 3 decent wide receivers, which you don't, would you use Mike Gesicki?
Yeah, and some team that decides we want to if quit calling him a tight end. If you can get beyond that, he's a slot receiver or a mismatch in a certain offense. If that's the guy you want, that's a good team that's going to cover him.
Let me ask you a question, and this is just a philosophical question here, Dave. If we've got $13 million a year to invest in a player for this offense, who would you rather give that $13 million to? Mike Gesicki or Allen Robinson?
Emmanuel Ogbah. Allen Robinson. To me, you need that guy. You need a dependable guy who's going to line up 14 games. Going into the year, he's not going to miss more than a couple games and runs polished routes and
reliable.
Can be trustworthy to your quarterback. And they don't have that. They don't have that. Jalen Waddle's proven that, but they don't have that other guy. All right. Omar, Peace be Trill. wants to know, considering we haven't had a Rookie of the Year winner since 1987, how important is it from a team and as an organizational standpoint that Jalen Waddle wins it?
Let's start out with the fact that Jalen Waddle probably has absolutely zero chance of winning Rookie of the Year when you consider what some of the
if the writers talk about him like that,
all right, guilty. And it's no disrespect. He is on pace to set an NFL record for reception in the season. I think that he would probably have to score 6 more touchdowns to get to 10. Because right now, the Bengals wide receiver,
Jamar Chase. He's falling off a little, though. He's falling off a little.
Yeah, but he's like at 8 touchdowns on the year. And he's on pace for 1,000 yards. You got you got Najee Harris, who's on pace for like 1,200 yards and is leading that Pittsburgh offense. Hell, you got Matt Jones. He's about to lead his team to the AFC.
I mean, he's the Rookie of the Year.
I knew you were going to say that.
That's not even going to be a debate unless something changes catastrophically.
But you know what? I think Jalen Phillips has a legitimate shot to be the defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
And, maybe even the Rookie of the Year. If he gets to 12 sacks and they produce a winning record, why not? Why can't you make the argument? And I know it's same as Jalen Waddle. He'll have good numbers, but I think he's got to get the touchdown totals up. He's got to get over 1,000 yards, and he'll get over 1,000 yards. He's having a phenomenal rookie season, but they need those splash numbers and for Rookie of the Year voting, or you got to be a quarterback. Splash numbers are rookie, and to me, I think Jalen Phillips has a legitimate shot of being a defensive Rookie of the Year. I can't really name you another guy except for Micah Parsons, who's having a phenomenal year.
It's probably going to be Micah Parsons because nationally, he's the bigger name. But let me ask you, who's having a better year, Jalen Phillips or Javon Holland?
Jalen Phillips or Javon? I think Jalen Phillips is because he's
the last 5 games he has, but over the whole year.
Oh, Javon Holland wasn't playing hot the first 5 games of the season.
Not the first month of the year, but after that he started playing pretty well.
I think not the first 2 months.
Just throwing it out there. I'm not saying I don't.
It's a great problem to have, and I like watching the young players develop. I love that. And you see the moment the light bulb comes on. Jalen Waddle has been doing it all season. There was no light bulb. I think it's getting easier for him now, even though defenses are defending him a little bit different. Jalen Phillips, to me, it comes down to his usage. They stopped asking him to do all this linebacker stuff and just said, okay, see ball, go get ball, hunt quarterback, and kept it simple for him and allowed him to just put his hand in the dirt and go do what he does. And that's really allowed him to thrive. Jalen and Javon Holland is what he's done is probably a little bit more impressive, but doesn't have the same level of impact that I think that Jalen Phillips has. Because Jalen Phillips speeds up everything for these cornerbacks.
All right, Alex wants to know, have we seen enough improvement from younger players that coaches are able to continue building into next year after 1 year?
Yeah, I think I don't have a problem with what we're seeing from the rookie class, and not just the rookie class, but the guys who are in their second and third year. I think the player who's having the surprisingly good year is Christian Wilkins. I thought Christian was just a guy his first 2 years. It was okay, nothing special, nothing to write home about. Borderline first round talent. And right now, he's really playing like he's an impactful player. The pressures, the sacks, the run stopping. To me, defensive linemen, especially in this scheme, it comes down to what are you holding teams to in the run game. And right now, 103.8 yards. That's impressive. Let's see it get under 100.
Let's say too, Omar, Raekwon Davis, who was out 5 games, I believe. early in the Patriots opener and until maybe game 5 or 6. And when he got back and got back to playing at the level that he does, then the defensive line took, and the rushing stats started to go down. He's demanding double teams. That helps everybody. Look, this defensive line is going to be very good. You're seeing it come through and starting to develop into something very. Wilkins, Raekwon Davis, Jalen Phillips, first or second year. Usually it takes a while for defensive linemen to really get going into their careers. The fact that you're seeing Christian Wilkins sort of is atypical. Every year he's getting better. Okay.
Yes.
Raekwon Davis was good the last half of his first year, just as Jalen Phillips is right now. The question is going to be, what do they do with Emmanuel Ogbah in the offseason? Do they give him a pile of money or find somebody else?
Yeah, Raekwon Davis. Since his return 9 games ago, only 3 teams have rushed for over 100 yards against him, against them. And he's a major factor in that. His primary job is to stop the run. And so we could say, and the one of the teams was Tampa Bay, which was his first game back, that was a difficult offense to stop. So props to him and what he's doing. I don't think he's getting enough praise, and I think he's overlooked by this fan base for what he's done because he doesn't have splashy numbers. But yes, the young players, Javon Holland, the Brandon Jones, Jalen Phillips, Jalen Waddle, Christian Wilkins, Andrew Van Ginkel, all of those young players, we're seeing them take that next step in their development, and it's encouraging. Even Jerome Baker, I think now that they have him sort of playing a pseudo-edge role, going back to his outside linebacker role, he was never asked to set the edge back then, but it's allowed this offense to sort of thrive and become who they are. So props to a lot of these young players. Hey, let's not forget Nick Needham, superstar. Nick Needham. They've been trying to move on from Nick Needham for 3 years.
Okay, let's bring the dark cloud into the conversation then, and the offensive line. Why aren't they developing? Is it draft? Is it coach? Is it system? Where are we at, Omar? Where are you at on that question? Because
I think it's all of the above, Dave. I'm not going to change my tune from what I said early in the season. I think it's all of the above. I never liked the talent from when they were coached by somebody different. So I'm not going to sit here and say that it's coaching. I really don't think Tua's masking a lot of their deficiencies, and that's what good quarterbacks do. So props to them. But I'm not sure that we have the answer at center. I'm not sure that we have the answer we definitely don't have the answer at right tackle. And I'm not sure that Liam is the answer at left tackle. And I'm not comfortable with the backups because, hell, if there was a backup worthy, they would be playing right now. So, yeah, dark cloud. You need better offensive line. That's what you need. You need better selection. You need better coaching. You need better schemes for them. It's all of the above, Dave.
All right. Based on that and what we've seen, can we say General Manager Chris Greer has done a decent job? Oh, I'm jumping ahead here a little, Omar, into our next segment, but we'll get this out of the way since I thought it flowed into this one. But
hey, it's all good. Based on the talent that we've seen, the Jalen Waddles, the Liam Eichenbergs, the Austin Jacksons, the Javon Hollands, the Jalen Phillips, they're blossoming now. Now, when they were 1-7, they were struggling. And what we're seeing is improvement is being made. So people can't say, oh, it's the coaching. They suck. Well, we're seeing young players develop right now. The question is, has Chris Greer done a good job drafting and adding talent to this team?
Yeah, I've changed my tune as new information comes in. Okay, at 1-7, where was the progress? Ultimately, it's going to come down to, as I said, the GM's job is a quarterback, okay? And all those other pieces are nice. You need them. I'm not dismissing them at all but it starts with that foundational piece. And it's going to be interesting to see. what happens now. If Tua plays out the season, the franchise, the GM, the owner, the coach, everybody's ready to trade him at late October. Here we are 6 weeks later.
I don't know if they were ready to trade him. I think they were ready to upgrade at quarterback, and they figure out what happens to Tua afterwards. Because he wasn't going to Houston.
Yeah, but they were ready to replace him. Okay?
Yes, ready to
replace him. Okay.
And we don't know if they will be ready to replace him.
Right. I don't know either.
The one thing, if I may address the Deshaun Watson, I don't want to turn this into a Deshaun Watson show or segment. When Jay Glazer, who we all know is right up there with Peter King in terms of information coming in and the accuracy, 3 first-round picks, 3 second-round picks, that's a ridiculous price.
They won't be paying that. Nobody will.
Nobody's paying that.
The squeeze is going to be put on Houston coming
up.
Absolutely.
Deshaun Watson is going to be the second highest paid player in the NFL next year, behind Kirk Cousins. And we're talking a huge figure. I think it's close to $40 million. Can you imagine trying to pay that for a guy who's not playing because he hasn't settled his legal issues?
Not only paying it, but adjusting your salary cap roster accordingly to fit under there. So that means you can't get 5 or 6 other players, the squeeze is every day in the off season that starts. We'll go to the start of the NFL season, March 16th or whatever it is. And Houston will have a deadline of that, and Watson can control where he wants to go. The question is, what team wants to get him, and do the Dolphins still want to get him? That's ahead. There's a lot of time before coming to a thought on that.
Yeah, I think right now we need to just continue to see Tua develop, continue to see this offensive line get better, try to find a running game, maybe get a receiver back from a hand injury that's lasted 3 months, and just see where this takes this team. I don't know how good Tua can be. I don't know if 2022 is going to be the season that, he arrives. My prediction is 2023 when he's seen everything defenses can throw at him. But how good can he make this team? If he can't make this team into a perennial playoff team, what are we doing? Which is, I think, what the Deshaun Watson situation was about. Another thing I want to point out about the Deshaun Watson situation, which is I did not know. Deshaun Watson now sits number 1 all time in the NFL for completion percentage, which blew my mind. Surpassing the Chad Penningtons and Kurt Warners. That's one of the attractive aspects of Deshaun Watson and his pocket presence. But Tua has those traits too.
So Watson on the field is a franchise quarterback. However you define it, he's a franchise quarterback, and I'm not closed on that. Okay, he's there. He's where you hope Tua gets to if you're the Dolphins. There's just a lot of other issues that muddy up the situation right now. Serious issues. So,
Coy Combs wants to know: do teams use the bye week to do installations and flesh out things that are going on with the team? I keep hearing a reference that teams did things in camp, that the Dolphins did things in camp that we haven't used. Do you think that they could dust them off and install it? Let me begin this by saying, I've seen a lot of things in training camp, and training camp is when you're throwing things against the wall and seeing if it works. And a lot of stuff, I was like, hey, that's pretty interesting. That's pretty good. And they didn't use them, so maybe they threw it out. Or maybe the fact that they didn't have Will Fuller, they threw it out. I haven't seen Albert Wilson get open in the caliber and nature that he was getting open in training camp without pads. I'll say that again, without pads. But then also the secondary wasn't playing very good back then. So maybe the secondary has locked it down. But talking to George Godsey, they work on things in practice. And the things that do not look good, they do not call in games. They do not put in the game plan. So I'm assuming that they work on these things, and I'm assuming that they work on the Albert Wilson plays. And when they don't look good in practice, they say, all right, we're throwing that out. But to me, this offense getting back and playing better in the bye week, it comes down to Michael Dieter coming back at center. He was an important piece. He has to play well. I don't think he played particularly well against the Giants. And hey, it's his first game back. He worked very hard to get back from his leg injury. So hopefully he continues to improve. Devontae Parker, we all know the situation. Can you keep Devontae Parker healthy? Hamstring injury, you know Devontae Parker. You know it's only a matter of time before there's a setback. And then Will Fuller. Will Will Fuller ever suit up for the Dolphins ever again, Dave?
I don't know. You know, I tend not to question people with injuries because we don't know what's going on. And I give them benefit of the doubt that something's wrong. So I'm not going to pile on here. I will say, you know, as far as dusting off set parts of the playbook or whatever, I think the offensive line is and the receivers to some extent have so limited the playbook, what they can do. They've thrown out, I'm sure they've just torn off huge sections of the playbook. We can't use it. We can't use it. We can't use it.
5-step drops, 7-step drops, just throw it out.
You can't, you got to get the ball out quick. You got to, you know, keep the quarterback upright. And, you know, so until you get those elements on your offense, as far as having an offensive line you trust and some receivers healthy to run polished routes, you know, I can't see them adding too much to the playbook.
Yeah, let me take this opportunity before we get to the next question to give Isaiah Ford a shout out. And here's the reason why Isaiah Ford deserves a shout out. He came into that game last week. Jalen Waddle goes down, and Jalen Waddle's an important piece. And there are more talented receivers on this team. But you know who you put in that situation? You put Isaiah Ford in that situation. You know why? Because Isaiah Ford is intelligent enough, smart enough to come in without any practice and practice that red zone play that was designed for Jalen Waddle and be in the right spot, do exactly what the right assignment was. Whereas you can trust Isaiah Ford. He's not like Preston Williams where you got to wonder if he's going to be running the right route or wonder if he knows his assignment or even Jalen Waddle where you got to wonder if he's lining up in the right spots like Jalen Waddle was doing against Buffalo. Isaiah Ford is so reliable and so dependable. You have to find more players like that and make them people that you can count on. And you know, we got a ton of guys that we can count on defensively. There just aren't enough guys that you can count on offensively. And so props to Isaiah Ford, who will always go down in history in my book as the guy that Ryan Fitzpatrick used to call out the offensive coordinator by saying, hey, we got players on this team who know the offense better than the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that was Ryan Fitzpatrick gave a defining spotlight to Isaiah Ford. You know, I mean, and I'll be mentioning him later with a question. But okay, let's go on to Mr. Larry 26's question. Brian Flores has had 3 seasons of getting off to a slow start. Is there something he's doing or not doing to prepare his teams or coaches for the season?
I really think it comes down to what this organization has been doing that you've been adamantly against for the last 3 years, Dave, which is investing in young players and hoping that it pays the dividends.
Let me stop you. That's not what I'm adamantly against. I'm adamantly against tanking seasons. It's taking, you know, saying we're not going to win for 3 years. Okay, I like investing in young players. I like investing in young players. That's the lifeblood of any
good players to go get young players.
I'm not for that. No, I'm not for, you know, but to the question, let's put that in context. First year, he had no chance to win. Okay. They were bringing guys off the street to start.
Yes.
Okay. So the first year, forget that.
14 guys showed up for the first game, having been there for 5 days, for a week of practice. 14
The
players.
second year, the roster is still in great flux. You can argue maybe they should have started off better, but they didn't. I don't think they started off awful.
They didn't start off awful. They were okay. They were okay, and then they got hot.
Yeah.
And
the third year, there is a river running through all this, which is new offensive coordinator every year, new line coach every year, and so yes, if you want to question, as we have Brian Flores for anything, there's no consistency of what they've been doing. But to me, the bigger picture is the bigger picture here in this question, which is the roster's been in such flux and playing young guys that, to me, the better question is to credit Brian Flores. The second half of the year, these teams get pretty good. And that's a mark of good coaching.
To me, I think it really comes down to young players blossoming in the second half of the season, as we're seeing with the Javon Hollins and Jalen Phillips. And, young players are starting to come into their own in the second half of the season. And the coaches have also figured out how to play them and how to utilize the talent. I would say right now, Josh Boyer, he's in his bag. He has a comfort level. He has a flow right now in terms of play calling where we didn't see that at the beginning of the season. He wasn't confident about the things that he was calling because maybe he didn't have a good grasp of what his talents, strengths, and weaknesses were. And so now that he does have a good grasp and he does know that, okay, let's take some stuff off Jalen Phillips' plate and let's have him. Jalen Phillips only comes on the field when he's rushing. And people don't realize this. He doesn't start anymore. He doesn't play on first and second downs. He comes in the game on third downs. And to be honest with you, that's enough.
He'll add components to his game moving forward. But why not? And I get this is a constant wrestling match as people covering the team and talking about it. Josh Boyer's defense or Brian Flores, who's calling the plays,
it's not a wrestling match. I hate when people say that. They both say that.
Listen,
Flores not calling plays.
Listen, when Monday night, if you watch the Peyton cast, the Manning cast, and the Dolphin great Aqib Talib was on there. But he played he didn't even play for the Dolphins, but he was there for a couple months on roster or in their property. But he was playing for the Patriots for years. And Peyton Manning and him were talking about it. And he said, no, this is Bill's defense. He's the defensive coordinator. Bill Belichick is the defensive coordinator. And he laid out, when I come in every week, Bill would meet with me and tell me what my role was that week. Bill would do this. Bill would do that. Okay, so look, I get everybody is Brian Flores surely has a heavy hand in the defense. And that's not to dismiss what Josh Boyer's doing at all.
I don't like this. I don't like this. I feel a little queasy. That's what a head coach does. Brian Flores meets with his top players, and he gives Tua the game plan. He gives Jerome Baker the game plan, and he explains why you're doing this role. Jerome Baker talked about it when he was moved to basically the edge player. He was like, this is why this is important, and this is for you. But who's calling plays on 3rd and 4 from the 43? Who's calling plays on 2nd and 8 from the 12 in the red zone? That's got to be Josh Boyer. Maybe the coach comes in and says.
All I know is Aqib Talib on public television said Bill Belichick's the defensive coordinator there, and I'm just throwing that out there for public digestion of what's going on. Okay.
He definitely. It's something to chew on. Griswold 307 asks, is Jason Sanders kicking for Miami next year?
I think he's kicking for his job, and it tells you how precarious any kicker's job especially is, okay? And, especially more than any other position, because you can just chart it in practice. They have people sitting there charting every field goal attempt and if he's unsteady, like I think he's missed an extra point or field goal 6 of the last 8 games. If he's unsteady, it's like anything else. Chris Rock talk about cheating on your spouse or whatever. What are your options? What are your options? What are the Dolphins' options at place kicker next year? And I'm sure they'll look into it if Jason Sanders continues a little unsteady run here.
They have no options, Dave, because Jason Sanders just signed a 5-year, $22 million deal last year, and there's guaranteed money associated with it. Not that they haven't dumped other contracts.
especially at that position, which is directly, you can tie 4 or 5 games every year into one team making or missing a field goal, right? So, look, he made 36 of 39 field goals last year. And
he's made 6 this year.
Yeah,
6 of 23. But people gotta stop acting like these distances aren't 47, 49, 51.
It was 52. It was 52 on Sunday. Okay, now he's missed a couple in the 40s, low 40s, but. Our final question comes from Sam. Now there's a direct and simple name, Sam. Right? Who is the one player on the Dolphins roster you can see being a head coach one day?
This is one of those questions that I always love from this standpoint. Because we're in the locker room and we get access to these players, you get to, well, not anymore, but you get to see a different side of them that the non-podium side. And I used to say this to Brian Hartline all the time. I used to say, you're going to be a coach. And he MF'd me. I'm not doing that. I can't, I wouldn't do those hours. I can't, why would I do that? By the time I'm finished playing, I'll have enough money. I won't have to work. And lo and behold, who's the best college wide receiver in the nation right now? Wide receiver coach in the nation right now at Ohio State, pumping out NFL pro after NFL pro. It's Brian Hartline. I say the same thing to Michael Thomas. I think he might be a politician, but when his playing career is done, Michael Thomas is going to be a head coach somewhere, somehow, because you just know and see these guys and see what's in there, see that it runs in their bloodstream and they're intelligent enough and they can communicate it enough. I think the good coaches on this team, the future coaches, Matt Hollins. I'm at the point now where I need to talk to Matt Hollins every week because Matt Hollins just breaks things down for you so simple that it just explains whatever the drama or issue is going on and puts it at a place where you can reach it. And that's exactly what you need to be a head coach. I'd also say Elandon Roberts. Elandon Roberts has got a lot of Brian Flores written all over him. He's like a carbon copy of Brian Flores. Just hard-nosed, no nonsense, tough as nails. He's the type of player I admire. If Elandon didn't hate me, we'd probably be best friends in the locker room. He's just a guy that coaches love because Elandon is your lieutenant. He's going to relay whatever that message is, and he's going to make sure everybody's in line.
Yeah, to me, it's interesting going through. When I saw this question, I went back. Jason Taylor now is he's a defensive coordinator at St. Thomas Aquinas. They play in the state championship game again this year. But you get the idea. He wants to coach in college.
You don't get the idea. Joe Rose is out there talking about it for 15-minute segments per day.
Yeah, I wrote a story about it, or a blog about it last week about think of who his coaches were down here with the Dolphins. Nick Saban was the head coach. Kirby Smart, the Georgia coach, was his defensive coach for a year. Okay, and so where are they? Georgia and Alabama. And where's Jason? He's at the #1 high school for churning out NFL talent. And who's at the second one? Patrick Surtain, his defensive teammate with the Dolphins, who now is at Plantation American Heritage, has been for several years. So if you're looking for a guy who coach and who loves to coach and a recruiter at two of the richest talents in the country, I I'd be shocked if Nick Saban or Kirby Smart or the University of Miami, somebody doesn't make a run at Jason Taylor coming up quick.
But before you answer this question, and let me parlay this answer. I actually enjoy Jason Taylor as the analyst on the radio, the sideline, analyst on the radio. I think he adds a different perspective, a perspective that I actually enjoy. And I think he's going to blossom into that role. And I've also felt like if there was a former player that I was going to hand the organization to in a John Elway-like role, it would be Jason Taylor. Not Dan Marino, but Jason Taylor. I don't see any reason why. I remember one of my first questions to Steve Ross back when he first became a bubbly, excited new owner, and I asked him, "Who's your favorite Dolphins player ever?" And you know who his answer was? Jason Taylor, who at that time was playing for, I believe, the Jets. And, obviously Steve Ross made sure he brought him back home. I'm like, one, I don't want Jason going the college route. I want him associated with the Miami Dolphins forever and to be here forever. If you want to coach.
Hey, Omar, let me ask something. What prominent big name coaches who could possibly put their stamp are on the Dolphin staff?
What prominent big name coaches who
what? Yeah, is there a former player? Is there a guy whose pedigree is up above everybody else who
on the staff now?
Yeah.
The staff is filled with college assistants.
So I guess what I'm saying is that's not this regime's MO to hire the Jason Taylor types, right?
So are you scared of having a guy on your staff that can teach a Jalen Phillips how to be an elegant pass rusher?
I don't know. I'm throwing it. I just don't see why there's nobody with really prominent NFL experience on the staff. Playing experience, a name, certainly not a Hall of Fame name who is from here.
I don't know if you need that, but
I don't know that you do it either, but there isn't one. I don't know. So, but it's interesting. Former players going down this route who could take over a organization. He's not going to because he's making too much money doing it. Trace Armstrong is, maybe the smartest guy I covered. Okay, and he's showing that now. He is the agent for top coaches, okay, and top talents, but mainly he's a coach's agent. And he is, you look at all the money being thrown around. And so Jason Taylor from one era, Trace Armstrong from another. But this era, if we're talking coaches, you hit on before and Isaiah Ford. When Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's as smart dealing with people, but smart running an offense, and he's been around practically every program in the league by now, points out that Isaiah Ford is his guy. If he has a question, he goes to. And okay, that's good enough for me. That if it all comes down to do you want to be a head coach or a coach because of the hours and the lifestyle.
And just to parlay this conversation, I want to give Patrick Laird a shout out because I think Patrick Laird is going to be running an NFL team in probably 15 years. Just a very smart, intelligent person who probably needs to get into the scouting realm. And for if any former players are watching this, don't think about coaching. There's so many opportunities and avenues in the scouting department and organizations in the front office. What the NFL, there's such an analytics influx of people who are mathematicians who are going to stat you to death involved in scouting and evaluating talent when there aren't enough Dan Morgans and Alonzo Highsmiths and in the front offices of teams, former players who know what it looks like, the Jason Taylors who know what it looks like and can identify talent that can eventually blossom and become stars. So go that route. Don't go the college route. Don't go the coaching route. Go that route. Well, Dave, we don't have a prediction to make, but I told the people that we take some X and Omar questions. How this question comes from somebody. All three coaches have next season. Past 3 seasons, he's failed. I don't know if there's really a. Does Flores lose his job if he doesn't win out this year?
Come on. Next.
Yeah. I always hate these chat questions because I don't think they're very good. No offense to the people in the chats. Why does the 2020 season, in which the Patriots went 7-9, count towards their rebuild? Why doesn't the 2020 season? It counts.
That was the rebuild. I mean, that was the rebuild. They took a step back. They got rid of Tom Brady. That was such a crazy year, anyways, because of COVID and all that. But that was a rebuilding year, 1 year, and they didn't sacrifice. They didn't go into it saying we're going to be awful. We're going to, So
yeah,
I hate that. I admire how the Patriots do things. I hate myself.
You keep bringing it up, but I think they
don't go away. They're the zombie Patriots. You kill them. You think they're dead. They're gone, and then they rise up, and there they are again. It's like they're the number 1 seed in the AFC right now.
I really hoped that the Bills would have taken care of business, and unfortunately, they did not. And their people were saying, I think it was a weird game. It was a run heavy. It was a weird game. It wasn't like they were playing their style of ball, Buffalo. Not to say that they can beat the Patriots, but yeah, the Patriots have a formula. They have a blueprint that they built for 2 decades, and they just keep working off that formula, and it shows that it
their
works.
Blueprint is we're going to do whatever it takes to beat you. If we have to run it every play game, we're going to do that. If we have to throw the ball downfield, and we're going to do that. If we have to win by defense, they can morph every week. They change their game plan into what they have to do. And that's what few teams can do in the NFL.
What does Tua need to do? This comes from 305. I don't even know. Hi, 305. What does Tua need to do to convince the front office not to trade for Watson, Dave?
Just keep playing. To me, I don't want that trade to happen. Okay. But to convince the front office, I would say just play out like he's playing right now to stay. The question really becomes, do they trust that he can stay healthy? Okay. Do they trust there's more components added, downfield components to his game to be a contending or a championship team? I mean, but to me, he can't show much more this year than what he's showing right now because of the pieces around him.
That is fair. Well, Dave, it was always a pleasure to have you here as X's and Omar. The overtime questions, they're kind of lacking, so I think we're going to call it quits. Always appreciate you being here and being part of the show. X's and Omar can be found on the Sun Sentinel website, on Apple Podcasts, on any sites that you can stream. YouTube, yeah, it can be fine. For you international fans, if you're interested in watching X's and Omar, it's there on YouTube. Always a pleasure having you, Dave. We will see you next Wednesday at noon, where we're talking about the redo of Dolphins Jets.